Imagine walking into a room and feeling a chill run down your spine. Your eyes land on an old porcelain doll sitting quietly on a shelf. At first, it looks harmless. Its delicate face, its beautiful kimono. But then you notice something unsettling. The doll's hair, impossibly long, as if it's been growing all on its own. You try to convince yourself it's just your imagination, until you hear the faint sound of whispers in the night. This is the haunting story of Okiku, a doll like no other, with a mystery so chilling it has baffled scientists and terrified visitors for decades. Is it cursed? Is it alive? Watch this video until the end to uncover the truth behind this shocking tale. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel for more spine-tingling stories. Do you ever feel a chill when you're near a doll? Those lifeless eyes, the eerie silence, and that unsettling feeling that maybe, just maybe, it's watching you. If dolls give you the creeps, you're not alone. There's even a name for it, pediophobia, the fear of dolls. And while we might laugh it off, pop culture hasn't helped. Think Chucky, Annabelle, or those antique dolls your grandmother used to own. They've all turned dolls into perfect symbols of silent menace. But what if I told you there's a doll in Japan that makes those fictional tales feel tame? Meet Okiku, an ordinary doll turned chilling legend. She's no movie prop, she's real. Her story begins in 1918.
In 1918, a 17-year-old teenager by the name of Eiichi Suzuki was visiting Sapporo, Japan, and he was visiting for a marine exhibition. The teenage boy was walking around the town in the Tanuki Koji shopping district when he saw this doll in the window, and the doll stood about 16 inches tall.
When a teenage boy, Eiichi Suzuki, bought her as a sweet gift for his 2-year-old sister, Okiku. Back then, the doll had a short bob haircut and looked like any other traditional Japanese doll. Little Okiku adored it, carrying it everywhere until tragedy struck. At just 3 years old, Okiku passed away suddenly from an illness, leaving her family devastated. Overwhelmed with grief, her family placed her beloved doll on their home altar as a way to honor her memory. But soon, they noticed something strange. The doll's hair, which had been neatly trimmed in a bob, started to grow, longer and longer, as if it were alive. That's when they realized something terrifying. Their sweet little Okiku hadn't left them. Her spirit, restless and still longing for her doll, had taken refuge inside it. Back in 1918, in a small, lively town in Japan, the streets were buzzing with people. The market was alive with the chatter of shoppers and the vibrant colors of stalls filled with goods. Among the crowd was a young boy named Eiki. He was about 10 years old, with bright, curious eyes and a determined look on his face. In his small hand, he clutched a few precious coins he had saved for weeks. Eiki was on a mission. His little sister, Okiku, was about to celebrate her birthday, and he wanted to surprise her with the perfect gift. She was his best friend, his partner in all their little adventures, and he wanted her birthday to be special. As the sun began to set, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink, Eiki wandered through the market. He looked at all sorts of things, beautiful kimonos, shining trinkets, and even colorful fans. But nothing seemed quite right. He was starting to feel disappointed when something caught his eye. Behind the glass window of a small shop stood a doll, and not just any doll. This one was stunning. It wore a beautiful red and gold kimono, decorated with tiny, delicate flowers. Its face was made of porcelain, painted with the softest, most peaceful expression. Long black hair flowed down its back like a waterfall. Eiki couldn't take his eyes off it. This is it, he thought. This is the perfect gift for Okiku. He stepped into the shop and placed his hard-earned coins on the counter. The shopkeeper carefully wrapped the doll, and Eiki carried it home, holding it as if it were the most valuable treasure in the world. When Okiku's birthday finally arrived, Eiki gave her the doll with a big, proud smile. Okiku's eyes lit up the moment she unwrapped it. She gasped, her small hands gently touching the doll's face and hair. "She's beautiful," Okiku whispered, holding the doll close. From that day on, Okiku and the doll were inseparable. She named it after herself and treated it like her best friend. She combed its hair, took it on walks, and even tucked it into bed at night. Aki couldn't have been happier seeing his sister so full of joy. One summer afternoon, while playing outside with her beloved doll, Okiku was bitten by a mosquito. But soon Okiku began to feel sick, terribly sick. Even in her final days, as she grew weaker and weaker, Okiku never let go of her doll. And then, one heartbreaking day, Okiku passed away. The family was devastated. When it came time to bury her, they wanted to place the doll in her arms. But due to their religious customs, they couldn't. Instead, they decided to keep the doll at home as a way to remember her. They placed it on a small shelf in the living room and started calling it Okiku, just like their daughter. One day, Aki noticed that the doll's hair looked different. It seemed longer than before. At first, he thought he was imagining it. But as the days passed, the change became undeniable. The hair, which had been neatly trimmed, now reached past the doll's waist. Even stranger, the hair's color seemed to be changing too, with some strands turning brown. From the night they cut the doll's hair, strange things began happening in their home. Doors would slam shut on their own. In the still of the night, they would hear faint whispers, as though someone was speaking just out of reach. Sometimes, they would wake to the sound of a little girl crying. For 20 long years, the family endured this nightmare. They lived in fear, unable to escape the feeling that they were being watched. The doll's hair kept growing, and so did the family's terror. Even now, the doll's hair continues to grow. Scientists who have examined it claim that the hair is real, human hair, but they can't explain how it keeps growing. Visitors to the shrine say they feel an eerie presence near the doll, like it's alive somehow. The doll, known as Okiku, remains a chilling mystery, a haunting reminder of how little we understand about the unknown. People come to see her, not just because of her growing hair, which priests say they still trim regularly, but for the unsettling feeling she gives off. Others say her eyes seem to follow them as they move. And the strangest rumor of all, some say her mouth is slowly opening, as if she's about to speak. Scientists who have examined strands of her hair confirmed that it's real human hair, specifically that of a child. But how? No one knows. The temple has refused to let anyone disassemble the doll, leaving the world with more questions than answers. Is Okiku's spirit truly bound to the doll, unable to move on, or is there something even darker at play? Whatever the truth may be, one thing is certain. Okiku's story will haunt anyone who dares to look her in the eye. What do you think? Is Okiku's doll haunted, or is it all just a creepy coincidence? Let us know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you never miss a video. Stay curious, and maybe keep your dolls on the shelf tonight.